Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So we've got another Andrew Wilson classic, okay? Because I'm really enjoying going through the debates at the moment. Like genuinely enjoy watching it. I might not agree on everything, but I'm actually really enjoying going through it. And the person is debating today, Dave Smith. This might actually be his easiest debate ever, genuinely, because this guy, anyone that knows this guy, kind of a retard. Like, but hey, it could surprise me. Definitely could be surprised, but hey, I will see. But before we jump into today's video, if you're new around there, drop a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it.
Other than that, got about an hour, 15 hour, 20 minutes. You guys go ahead.
Dave, can you demonstrate for us how you own yourself?
Well, what exactly do you mean by that?
Do you own yourself?
Yes.
Can you demonstrate that?
I mean, I'm demonstrating. We're both demonstrating it right now on this show.
Well, you're not demonstrating that you own yourself.
What do you mean by own?
Well, I think that ownership of a thing is just a social construction. That ownership itself is just a parameter of agreed upon criteria.
Oh, okay, but if you were to...
hang on, let me finish the point.
Sure.
For which, so that's how we know. So I own that guitar because we agree that I own that guitar. That's it. That's the only reason I own it. I don't think.
Yeah, generally, I'm not really sure why it says yes to the. Do you own yourself? How do you own yourself? Like, I don't think you can own yourself necessarily because, you say I own myself. I and myself, they're both talking about the same person. Doesn't really make sense in a sentence. But I'm very curious how he's going to justify that.
I think that there's anything which is that you can point to that would demonstrate that this exists outside of a social construction we agree to.
Okay. Well, I'm missing your point here.
My point is that I think it's a social construction when you say that you own yourself. I don't think that
I didn't say it's not a social construction. But
well, then you don't own yourself?
That's a false binary. I'm not. Hold on one second.
Listen, no. That's a law of logic. You either do or you don't.
No, I didn't say. No, you're asking me if I do or I don't. Do you own that guitar?
Yeah.
Okay, but you just said it's a social construct.
Yeah.
Yes. Through a social construct mechanism. That's how you own things. You own it because generally we accept that if you buy something, if you inherit something, there are certain ways that you own things. Those ways are socially constructed. There's nothing objective about your ownership to that thing. He just agreed onto it and then he just disagreed with it again.
But I gave you the criteria for the social construct would be an agreement of.
And I said I own myself.
Right, but when you say...
So as much as you own that guitar, you've proved
This is
nothing.
Incorrect. When I say, do you own yourself? And you say, I'm not sure. Law of logic would...
No.
Hang on, let me finish.
I said yes.
Yeah, the law of excluded middle is going to show this. It can only be yes or no. Do you have self-ownership? Yes or no. I own the guitar because we agree we do. Do you only own yourself because we agree you do?
Well, no, I don't agree that that's what ownership means, but you said yes and I said yes. So we're both exactly even.
Well, then I want to know then I want to know how you own yourself.
Well, look, if you actually look up ownership in like a dictionary, I think the definition that you gave
Oh my God. You're talking about the concept of ownership, okay? You're talking about the philosophical aspect behind ownership. Dictionary is never, ever answering that question. Never. The moment you reference dictionary, you've lost. Like, what are you talking about? How can you be talking about philosophy and then you say, oh, I'm going to use a dictionary to justify my answer? No, dictionary don't ever apply to philosophy. They don't. Dictionary is only there for everyone to have an agreed upon definition. But when you're actually trying to break it down, what it truly means, what the concept truly means, it goes well beyond the dictionary.
Would be a little bit different than that. So do I exercise my control over myself? Do I do so morally? Yes, I think so. Explain it to me like I'm really stupid. I don't understand any of the words. So explain it to me. How do you determine if something is right and wrong?
Okay, so what I would do to make these determinations is we start with objective versus subjective. Is it a subjective value or is it an objective value? If we start with it just being a subjective value, then who cares? We never need to go any further than that. We just never need to go any further for justification. So what I've determined is that your values here in libertarianism are subjective value based. Therefore, there's never a reason for me to.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's a libertarian or a liberal, you have to agree your values are subjective. There's no way you can ever point to some objective moral or objective moral standard. You can't. It's just impossible. It's always subjective. You analyze people's behavior and then you point out the things that we want and the things we don't want, and then you point out the action that leads us there. Those are subjective. You can never ever argue objective morality when you're a libertarian. That's impossible.
To justify anything objectively to you, because any subjective preference I have,
Andrew,
is just as valid.
You're not answering my question at
literally,
all.
that's the most precise answer you could ever get.
Andrew,
if you're a
how do you determine if
I
something
just
is
told
right or wrong?
you divine command.
And then I asked you what that means, and you said
I just
nothing.
explained.
No, you
revelation.
didn't. You
I
just
did.
said that you said
Revelation from God, divine theory.
I think
Divine command theory.
my basis is
Okay,
subjective.
fine, Dave. I'll make
So
it
what's
super
yours?
simple because God tells me so. Is that better for you?
Sure. No,
Okay.
that's the answer. That's
the answer.
Okay.
God tells me
God
so.
tells you.
Yeah.
And through what means does God tell you this?
He directly communicates right into my brain. He's like, that shit's wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but okay. So, okay. So, just to be clear, the point of that is that, Andrew, it sounds very good when you attack someone and say that's subjective, but when your response to that is God communicates directly into my brain, that also, I mean, I don't know what the word is for that.
Subjective.
But
It would be
subjective
subjective.
would probably be the word.
But that's my whole point. That's how I'm granting your entire argument. It's like, it doesn't matter ultimately objectively.
But your counter is also subjective. So then
Right.
we're
So
even.
then that means that my preference is no worse than your own preference.
Well, I mean, no, it means by your argument, we're even.
Yeah.
Not by my argument,
if I'm using preference
by
based,
your argument. Okay,
yeah. If,
all right,
if
all right.
I'm using preference based arguments, or I'm sorry, preference based morality, and you're using preference based morality,
No, listen.
then
I don't-
we're equal, Dave.
To be clear, I don't think I am using preference-based morality.
Got it. So
Yes, you are. As a libertarian, you have to use preference based. There's nothing you're going off. There's nothing.
can you make
Hold on, all right,
justification then?
1 second. Let me try to finish the sentence here. I don't think I am making subjective-based morality, but you accused me of that. And so my response to you is, so what's your objective base? And your response is, God talks to me directly into my head.
Yeah, for the purpose of
okay.
demonstration.
All right. By the
Yeah.
way, God also talks to me in my head. And so,
Perfect.
all right, fine. Like,
Yeah.
all right.
So if
by
God
your
talks,
own standard,
there you go.
You haven't won anything. By your own standard, we're even.
it's not here to win
By
it.
the way,
It's
I
here
wanna-
to
all right,
demonstrate
I
it,
want to
Dave.
try to.
But the question is libertarianism better than Christian populism? So the burden of proof is on you as the libertarian to actually prove, hey, my moral ethics is better than yours and it's more objective than yours. If you can't prove that, ultimately you've lost because the onus is on you to actually make the claim. That's what the title says.
Let's try if we can, because we're only a few minutes into this. Let's try. This got more contentious than I thought it would in the first few minutes. Let's try to just, by the way, because I want to have a good conversation with you, and I've been told by people who I love and trust that you were a guy to have a good conversation.
Yeah, but you keep on evading every question that I have for you.
Oh, all right. I don't think I have, but
So
okay.
let's answer.
Ask me a direct question.
Great.
And I'm happy to
Should
answer
the
it.
state come in and stop your brother from unaliving himself or not, Dave?
I would want them to. Yes.
Yes. Would you want the state to stop a man from having sex with his sister if it would lead to a non-reproductive
Jesus
act?
Christ.
As a libertarian, you have to agree with that. This guy, right, he goes on about how much of a libertarian is, how bad the government is, how there should be no intervention from the government. But then when you ask him, okay, what about incest? If a brother is having sex with a sister that's consensual, they're both above the age of consent and they're not going to have children, what's actually stopping them? Why should the government actually intervene? There's no reason why. You have to say they should be allowed to do that. You have to, as a libertarian, you have to be able to say yes to that question.
Wait, if it would lead to a non-reproductive act.
Yeah, she has no
that's-
uterus.
But that
Yeah.
was supposed to be worse than if it would? reproduce?
Yes, of course. Yes, because if you're gonna have children, then you can make the claim, oh, if you're gonna have children, then it can obviously lead to some form of physical defect. So therefore it's bad. But if you remove the factor of actually having a child, now there's nothing for you to actually ever argue on. Literally. It's very, very clever from Andrew there. Like he's one step ahead of him, literally. The fact he doesn't actually pick up the whole point of him removing the possibility for a child kind of shows you intellectually he's so far behind.
Yeah, it would be It would be less
I'm
worse.
just saying that seemed like an unnecessary caveat to throw on.
That is a necessary caveat. The fact he doesn't actually see that.
But okay,
He's so ahead of him right now.
Jesus
So
Christ.
ahead of him.
What you're talking about, like adults or
Yeah,
children?
adults.
Okay, fine. Because for children,
You have to say
obviously,
yes to
that'd
the
be-
question.
yeah, I guess I would want them to.
Why?
Okay.
Why would you want the government to intervene? You're a libertarian. You don't like government. You want literally government to reduce to as much as possible. You don't want government intervening on what you do. And you go by the non-aggression principle. If I'm not causing harm to anyone, no one should ever intervene on what the decision I make. Why would you ever want the government to intervene if you're having sex with your sister? As a libertarian, why? You're not causing harm to anyone. You're both adults and you're consenting, and there's no possibility to have a child. Why would you ever want the government to intervene? If you're a libertarian, you can never ever want the government to intervene there. That makes no sense.
So you want the state to utilize authority.
Well, not just the state. I would want anyone.
Okay, so
Why?
I don't
Anyone
understand.
with the force to do it, or
Great.
anyone with the strength to do it.
So
sure.
so then those people don't own themselves.
No, I don't think that's the conclusion.
That
Well,
is the
if they own
conclusion,
themselves,
though.
can you demonstrate what they're doing wrong?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
But that's a very silly
You
and
won't
very
demonstrate it.
look. This is a very like childish interpretation of libertarianism.
You're still not answering the
But-
question. You're
well,
just prattling.
No. I didn't. I immediately answered the question.
No, you didn't. You literally didn't.
Now I'm responding to the point you made. So
Mm-hmm.
I immediately said, yes, anyone with the authority to do it, please stop, or the power to do it, please stop. And then I was responding to what you said. So I did answer the question. What I'm saying is that the idea that if you own yourself, and this is the fundamental mistake that you made at the beginning, therefore I can't say anything is immoral, is ridiculous. And not only in the libertarian worldview, but in any worldview, there are lots of things, I'm sure in yours, where there could be things that you don't think are illegal, but you still, or you don't think should be illegal, but you still think are wrong. So that doesn't mean anything. If I think people own themselves, I can't think there's something horribly wrong about this.
That's not
No.
the point.
That's
So
not
let
the
me-
point, though. Whether it's wrong or not isn't necessarily the point. Do you want the government to intervene? You, as a libertarian, making sure the government doesn't intervene is one of your most important principles as a libertarian. That's the point. Do you want the
I'll
government to
explain
intervene?
Okay, sure. So please.
If you want the state to go in, if a brother is banging his sister and she can't reproduce, I don't know how you could demonstrate.
Why does
let
reproducing
me-
matter in this?
I'll
scenario?
explain
Sure.
why, so that you can't bank on reproduction as being a harm because it could have like some kid who's all fucked up. So I'm just taking that out of the
okay,
equation.
okay.
Oh, now we just realized that he's so far behind. Oh my God.
I gotcha.
I'm just taking that out of the equation, right? She has no uterus, they can't reproduce, or maybe they're homosexuals, right? And they're just related. If they own themselves and they're adults, that is exactly what you would make the argument for gay marriage. They're
Exactly. If you own yourself, why would you want the government to stop you? Why? You own yourself, you're an adult, you're both consent to it, and there is no further damage to anyone. Why would you want the government to
adults.
intervene?
These adults are consenting with each other. Can you actually justify why that's wrong?
Sure.
Then justify why it's wrong.
Well, I can justify why it's wrong. Okay, there's two separate questions here. And this is almost like, I think, what you need to pick apart. So, look, there's two questions. One is, could I justify someone using force to stop them? And then could I justify why it's wrong? You get where those are two different things?
Yeah, I'm just asking why it's
But-
wrong.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah,
But
so
I'm
let's
just
do
saying-
that.
Okay. Do you get why those are two different things, though? You get the point I'm making.
Yeah, sure. So can you answer the question now?
Yeah, dude. Listen, man. Do you want to have a decent back and forth here, or do you want to not?
You're still not answering the question.
Oh my God. He's
Okay.
been so aggressive.
Can you
bro.
justify
just
why
let the
it's
guy
actually
breathe,
wrong for
okay?
two consenting
Yeah,
adults?
yeah. See, the thing is, I am answering the question. You're just kind of being a dick
Well, when
and
it-
trying
when
to
you-
win the debate.
When are you going to answer the question, Dave?
All right, give him a chance.
So is
Andrew.
that
Go ahead.
actually like? Does anyone listening to this think this makes for like good debate tactics? No, you actually are not like recognizing that there's a difference between these two things. So
I
can
just told you I
justify-
do.
Let's leave him.
All right, do you guys want to do this, man? I fucking like honestly, dude. This is
You
like,
Oh my
talked. You've
God.
talked way more than I have, Dave. I just want you to answer my question.
Just
Can you
answer the
justify it
bloody
or not,
question.
bro?
Seriously.
okay. So anyway, I'll go back to saying, do you guys want to do this? Do you guys want to like do a show here, or like what's the point of this?
You want
Right, right.
to?
You
I
can
asked
say
you
I-
specifically if
right,
you wanted
right.
a conversation
You
or
could
a
say-
debate.
you
You
could
said a
say-
debate. We're debating.
No. I didn't say that. I said
did say
we
that.
could do whatever you want to do, dude.
Yeah, so we're doing a debate. So let's not do a meta
Yeah, but a
conversation.
debate
Just
doesn't
answer the
mean-
question.
Ask me the question again. I'm sorry.
Can you justify why two consenting adults who are brother and sister having sex is morally wrong?
Yes.
Then do it.
Okay, because I think it's for the same reason you would think. I think it's against nature. It's evil. It just seems horrible.
That is awful. That kind of argument. Why do you think this is bad? Because it's against nature. It seems awful. You can say that about anything. You can literally say that about. I don't think you should be having a child because I think having a child is really awful. It's really painful. So therefore, having a child is morally wrong. You can literally say it's painful and it's awful for anything. That's
I don't
just
know.
terrible.
Do you have a better answer for why it's wrong?
Well, yeah.
Under your
Divine
view,
command.
it wouldn't be wrong. That's the problem. Under libertarianism, it won't be wrong. That's the problem.
Divine command. Okay, fine.
Yes,
so I also
under
say-
divine command, it would be wrong because obviously God would say, "Oh, that is wrong." But under libertarianism, it won't be. It doesn't pick it up yet. He's not picking it up.
divine command. That's why it's wrong.
No, but
Well, but then
There
this
you go.
the axiom of self-ownership would be wrong.
No,
How did
it
he-
wouldn't. No,
Well,
it wouldn't. And if you had listened to me when I
That's
was
so
responding
weird,
the first
though.
time, you would understand.
Well, here,
that.
let me now make my argument back.
Yeah,
If they
right,
don't,
right.
if they don't own themselves, right, or if they do own themselves, rather,
look at him. He's losing it.
and they're two consenting adults, just like two homosexuals consenting adults, why is it actually wrong for them to do
His face right now is like, what am I doing? I have no idea about this philosophical conversation. Like, I should not be here.
that? You say because it seems like it's against nature, which isn't the natural fallacy. Couldn't I just apply that
it's
to
just
homosexuals
naturality.
as well and say, well,
Yeah.
it seems like it's against
It's
nature?
against nature, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So
Maybe you should.
homosexuality is
And
wrong?
do you think so? Your moral oughts are based around just things that gross you out?
No, divine intervention, bro.
Divine command?
You just, how can you say divine intervention, but you say, why is that wrong? Because it's against nature. That makes no sense.
And
Yeah, there you go.
so if it's divine command, then you're going to abandon libertarianism and you're going to come over to Christian ethics, right?
No.
No. But I thought you made your justification based on divine command.
So, okay. Listen, it's clear that
Great point, dude. You're right. You have divine command, and you're asking me why it's wrong for a brother to fuck a sister. Listen, dude. I know, like, I don't know anything about you. I don't know why Jacob thought this was going to be a good idea. I know you like dominate 20-year-old like OnlyFans sluts in debates.
I also
Oh my
dominate
God.
45-year-old comedians in debates. What's the point?
41, motherfucker.
Oh my god, now it's just insults. He has no idea what's going on. Like, he's so lost. Like, genuinely, like he hasn't thought about actually trying to analyze libertarianism. What actually makes it good? What actually makes it bad? What foundation I'm actually standing on making this argument? He's just kind of like, you know, in no man's land, just going along, trying to figure things out. Like, and you can't do that. As someone that's like astute and as good as debate as Andrew Wilson, you can't just go along philosophically, just hoping you land on the right answer. You can't. He will make you look bad because the guy is quite good. Not that I agree with him on a lot of things, but the guy is good. You have to be. You can't go in there and just making things along. You can't. He will just make you look bad, and he's about to literally go off right now.
And
Silly guy, but that's just my thoughts in the video. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, it will be massively appreciated. And also, if you're new around there, subscribe to the channel.